To the Cash Flow Chronicles. We've got Hot Kris on the other line. Kris, thanks for taking the time today. And I think we're probably just going to talk a little bit about where we think the market is going today. Kris wanted to bring up oil, which I can always talk about for many hours. And then also looking at what's going on with Hawaiian energy stock potentially. And then I don't know if Kris knows too much about Tesla, but one of the things I'm just diving into, everyone's very fanatical about Tesla. And I'm just actually getting my eye into it. And a lot of people are like, oh, but the battery packs provide so much capacity. And then I'm looking at the actual energy output, and I'm just like, I'm just not seeing the Tesla energy component to the story, right? I could see it growing and I could see them starting it, but I think everyone's just talking about how much they've already provided, and I'm just not seeing it. So if anybody has that opportunity to like say, Matt, you're an idiot, here's the obvious writing on the wall, then go for it.
When you're talking about Tesla Energy, are you talking about like the battery packs that they're deploying, or are you talking about like the in-home batteries that they're deploying?
Twofold. Yeah, it's twofold. So the thing that I think everyone thinks about when they think about Tesla Energy, or at least my thought, is like there's the parts that I'm looking at, which are they actually holding onto their own solar panels, installing like parks themselves on a large commercial scale and selling energy to the grid to be able to get paid. But in reality, it's just a continuation of the Solar City model, which is residential solar panels, right? Which they don't get to keep any of the energy long term. They get the installation, they make the money off the panels themselves and that margin, but there's no long-term incentive. It's very short-term, medium-term sort of cash flows from that perspective. And so my thought process is like, why isn't Tesla going after that? Am I missing something there? Or do they go after that and I'm just not privy to that and I haven't seen it yet? And then there's the battery pack business, which is doing relatively well. I can see them scaling that up. But I think a lot of people are confusing gigawatt hours with gigawatt capacity. And when it gets to that, there's a large discrepancy. And I think a lot of people aren't truly factoring that in to what the actual scale of that business is to date. And I think that they think it might be a lot larger than it is, because people are like, oh my God, 6.4 gigawatt hours. It's like, well, as the United States, we're using many thousands more than that, right? So just to kind of get that perspective.
Well, I mean, I think each business segment has its own pros and cons. Like solar, in terms of like residential solar, I was never too bullish on it, even with like Enphase and all this other stuff, mainly because when you look at solar, in my opinion, you had like panel costs had come down so significantly. So like every time you try to build a business model, the competition would come in with bigger, better solar panels that are less expensive, and so it would destroy your profit margins. Tesla is unique in that there's like a brand behind it that maybe some people are getting really like into, where it's, when you have a certain brand, people willing to pay excess of what the total actual cost benefit is going to be, just because people want to have that brand name there. Um, a lot of people who are forward thinking, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to get Tesla solar because of X, Y, and Z, and it's going to end up becoming a part of like me becoming a part of that ecosystem. But in terms of profitability, I don't necessarily see that being a very profitable business for Tesla, which is probably why they've never really fully embraced it, even after the Solar City acquisition. Like
Right.
the solar tiles were a very interesting concept when I first saw that, but they haven't really moved since then. Now I don't know why they didn't do that. Maybe the efficiency wasn't nearly enough to justify the cost, but it's just not a big part of their business right now. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the exact holdup is, but my guess would be that from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense to invest in a business that's not growing faster at a higher margin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe in the future that dynamic will change a little bit, but in terms of right now, like I just don't see Tesla Solar being that value accretive to Tesla overall, the company itself.
Yeah.
I do, however, think that the select use cases for those mega packs are actually pretty significant. As
Mm-hmm.
energy companies, they really need to balance out a lot of their renewable energy generation and their peaker plants. And so there is definitely a use case and a need for it, and there is a premium that Tesla is able to get. And the thing is, the better they do and the more they manufacture, the bigger discount that they end up being able to. I mean, the more margin they're able to pretty much generate, right? So as you scale up manufacturing, the price per unit drops significantly, and I think that is one of those things that they figured out a very unique way to sell that product, and they've got it backlogged all the way up to 2025. So I think that business is probably going to grow more significant than the solar business, and even the in-home battery pack may end up getting some more traction. I just don't see the solar part being as big of a business for them in the future, and I think Elon knows this, probably why they don't invest in it more heavily. You know.
But that's the thing. It's like, so the thing that I see a lot of companies doing and pushing for is these large solar parks that are 300 megawatts, sometimes a gigawatt worth of capacity being installed. It's like, I just don't understand, if you have that capital, you're sitting on $20 billion worth of capital at this point. Why not deploy some of those things and start to cash generate? It might be an 8 to 10% return, but I mean, to me, that's probably a better long-term solution for your capital than the solar business as Solar City was kind of implementing it. But to go back into the mega pack thing that you were kind of alluding to, so I did do some research, and I do see the benefit of that. Right, solar is very impactful during the day, between 10 to 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And so you have your max output during those times. And so the mega packs can have that opportunity to provide more of a consistent long-term production of energy, or rather current of energy, to your home over the long term. And one of those battery packs, by the way, at least the way that they described it, can basically supply, it's 3 megawatt hours of energy. So that can supply about 3,600 homes for an hour. Or if you want to look at it on a single home basis, if you were to say in an emergency need all that power to one home, you could survive for about half the year, or a little bit less than half of the year. So it could supply about 0.4 years worth of a home. Or if you look at it the other way, it could supply one home for about 4 months, 5 months. So I think that's pretty good. I mean, considering if you live in like a generator state or something like that, that could be a good idea to have, instead of having some sort of generator, which are generally operating off of propane or something of the like. Or just if you're in a location that isn't conducive to, say, solar or wind, then you can have that mega pack and be able to supply your house in the event that the grid goes down. In some rural locations, it just requires some high winds in some areas, and next thing you know, you're out of power for months, depending on how remote you are. So anyway,
yeah, I mean, the future is gonna need something to balance out the what is that thing called, the energy like conundrum right now, because the sun does not always shine, the wind does not always blow. At least with natural gas and oil and all this other fossil fuels, all you got to do is just ramp up the production, and boom, you got instant energy, right? So if we are truly moving towards a green future, which I think we are to a certain degree, you're going to need bridge technologies that help enable that. And so these guys are at the top of that. Doesn't mean that no any like what they're doing is proprietary, by the way. There's other companies that provide the same level of service, except these guys have just gotten ahead of the curve when it comes to marketing themselves. So I think that's the key, right? Now, what does that mean for guys like investors like us? I think Tesla, the stock itself right now, even at the current valuation drop that it's had, is still a little bit overvalued based on a few metrics that I'm looking at, primarily like the slowdown in sorry, the slowdown in EV sales.
yeah.
I think are going to be a lot more impactful than people think going into 2024. And if things end up doing what they think they're going to end up doing, this thing could get halved by the end of this year. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know, a lot of people are here going to probably get mad
And do
because
you
a
think
lot of people love Tesla.
yeah, a lot of people love Tesla. Do you think that that's more on the margin shrink perspective, or do you think that, because when you look at the numbers themselves, right, and we could pull up an earnings report from Q2, it's like numbers are rather, from a net margin perspective, the percentage of net margin has gone down. The overall income has kind of remained flat over the past several quarters. And I think a lot of that has to do with, yes, you're selling way more vehicles, but the amount of margin, just like all these larger, it's like, so at what point are you actually differentiating yourself from this company that was touting your 20% net margins and doing so well? And every car that you sell is going to make several $1,000s more than a normal, ICE engine car. And now you're here sitting at a 9% margin. It's like, well, decrease that another percentage point or two, and you're looking like you're Ford, right? So it's an interesting sort of conundrum, like you kind of said.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're gonna have to figure out ways to offset that margin decline. I think margin decline was always a thing that was gonna happen, especially now that the options on EVs are growing by the day. You know what I mean? There's so many EVs out there right now that this is not 5 years ago when you said EV, you actually just meant Tesla. You know, now it's actually like, hey, Ford F1 Lightning, Mustang. And I know that people are going to say, well, those are like marginal at the fringes. The truth is, yes, that's true. But over time, you're going to see people gravitate towards other stuff too. Like in the past, I would never have seen Rivians anywhere. I'm glad that the person brought it up. But now I'm starting to see Rivians,
I
I'm
see.
starting
And when
to
I
see
was in
F1.
Houston, those Amazon delivery trucks, I see them every day, every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just goes to show that like other competitors are going to learn from Tesla and they're going to develop technologies that are pretty similar to what Tesla is doing. Maybe Tesla has some uniqueness when it comes to their FSD products and everything else, but that's not enough to sway the consumer right now into paying way more money than like an average EV. The other thing is maybe this is something that's more outside of China than in China than in the United States. But I see the Chinese companies really starting to pick up steam when it comes to like discounting around the world, and basically being able to go toe to toe with Tesla. And the cars actually look pretty good, And the Chinese really learn how to make good EVs. So I don't know. I can't say I know 100% who's going to win this race, but all I know is Tesla has a lot of headwinds ahead of it, and if they're not able to keep up with their lofty projections of 50% year over year growth, they might end up taking a hit, and they might end up trading much lower than what they are today. And also, one last thing is the auto sector in general may end up feeling a bit of a pinch because of like the higher interest rates, higher credit, requirements in order to get a loan, the higher interest rate that people would have to pay. So the appetite for I think new cars may be a little like maybe waning a little bit, and because of that, Tesla may not be able to necessarily get the margins that it used to. And all those things will end up translating to Tesla possibly, like I said, losing a few more points here and there on operating income. And like I said, it's just one of those things to bear in mind. I'm no way in saying that Tesla's going bankrupt or going to zero, anything like that. But it's just right now there's a lot of recessionary headwinds that are coming for companies. And one of them that's kind of exposed more than others is probably Tesla.
Yeah, and I do echo. I'll just be blunt. One of the reasons why I left a previous investor group was because of their blindness. All right, I mean, I in no way actually hate Tesla as a company, and a lot of people probably think that because I'm an oil man and all that. And at the end of the day, I think it's very commendable what Elon did with respect to changing the auto industry and kind of letting a fire under everyone's butt. But the thing that I can't ignore is like some people like buying cars with a bow tie or a Chevy on front. Some people are ride or die Ford people, and they'll always buy an F-150. And at the end of the day, like if you say that to some of these Tesla folks, it's like you're saying that Tesla's going to zero and you think that there's no market share that they have available. It's like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they have a head start. Nobody else has really gotten to market yet. But when they do, I'm sure you're going to see a lot more people getting involved. And very much like you said, Kris, before you chime in here, I was talking to, some folks that I know that have other cars, Subarus, the Tundra, the Toyota Tundra. Those things basically drive themselves too. They might not be able to make lane shifts and stuff like that, but if you haven't had that ability to use some of those products before, and recognize that it's basically free to be able to acquire those and have those. You're not going to pay $15,000 for full self-driving. It's like you're probably going to want to take a stair step and buy one of those products before you come out of pocket and buy a $15,000 full self-driving opportunity, right?
Yeah, check this out. So whenever I imagine Tesla owners, like this is from a Netflix show. It's really funny. Check it out.
This is going to be the best day off ever.
Yeah, but what are we gonna do? I want to see something new today.
Is that guy sucking his own dick?
Yeah, all Tesla drivers suck their own dicks. That's why the cars come with autopilot.
Oh, that's great. Sounds about right too, though.
It's anytime you talk to anyone with a Tesla, holy shit, man! It's like they're in love with. I get that you have love for the car, but man, it's just a machine. Just relax, you know. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. But overall, I think Tesla's valuation may be a little bit higher than it's currently justified with the current macro conditions. So if you are thinking about investing in Tesla, I think a pullback is warranted in Tesla, maybe a little bit. Probably 150. I don't think we see the $100 lows again.
But the thought people that might have and counteract that is like, but what about the robo-taxi business? And what about the robot business and all that stuff? Like, are you giving credit to that? Do you think even at a $1 trillion valuation that it's still way overvalued in that respect?
I think they just have a lot of market opportunity, but I live in reality. And so a lot of stuff that Elon is promising it's quite some time away. So I'm not willing to give a lot of extra money to possibility. Rather, I'd rather see some of the things that come out be more tangible, and then we can go from there, you know. And like I said, I also kind of want to see what the competition is doing. You know, competition is important to look at. I think a lot of times people they don't want to look at the competitive environment. They just want to focus on the product that they have at hand. But you know, it's worth taking a look. Yeah.
No, I think a lot of times people just like ignore, because it's such a headline company, because they were first to market. I think, well, I guess they weren't first to market, but the first to succeed in market, let's say. I think a lot of people just read what they say and they run with it, right? It's like other people have chargers out there, right? Like other people are creating vehicles, and you know the market share is declining pretty rapidly. Do they still have a great market share and they have the majority of it? Of course, right? But it's, you know, other companies have barely gotten to market, and you can see how much it's already eaten away. And I think the reason why it hasn't been eaten away more is the capacity at which they can sell those vehicles, right? I don't think that they're fully up to the same EV output as, say, Tesla is. So I'm sure it's going to get worse and worse. And you haven't even seen all of these vehicles. Like the Silverado isn't even EV yet. It's coming out. The Hummer mass-produced vehicle isn't even out yet. It's still on like the semi more luxurious line. And so once these things, like they started just like Tesla did with their expensive model, and they're going to get to the cheaper and cheaper model as they ramp up. It's going to be a very exciting 2 to 3 years for looking at EVs and then seeing them on the road and truly, like, I'm waiting for the EV Tahoe, but that's just me. But anyway, I think it's going to be very interesting. And if you ask somebody 2 years ago if they would be seeing this sort of decrease in net margin from Tesla, the market share being lost to some of these other companies, they would have told you you're crazy. And that's part of the reason why I left a different investor group of friends that I used to talk to, because they were just so blind and so far up their own butt about the company. And like I said, it's not about being a Debbie Downer. It's about reality. And yes, it's a great company. Yes, it's done great things. I just still don't understand the valuation of it personally. Yeah. And I was hoping that the energy side would give me a little bit more love and a little bit more reason to believe in it. But with my background and just kind of looking at it so far, it's another domino that has fallen to make me just be like, I just don't understand it as of yet.
Yeah. I think, what do you think about the general market right now? You think that the correction continues?
I do. I have been thinking. I mean, you and I talked several months ago on Palantir Weekly, and we were in the 425, 430 range on the SPY, so about 4,200, 4,300 on the S&P, and I thought that was overrun. And then we kind of went for another 3 months after that, and we landed in the 455, 4,500, 4,600 range, which is almost what 3-4% or 5% from all-time highs if you think about it, because we topped out at 4,800.
Yeah.
So to me, that's way too soon to be kind of thinking about all-time highs again. Personally, I see a 10% retracement. We're at about 3.5 to 4% on the SPY retracement to date. I think we're about 4.5 to 5% on the Nasdaq 100. I could easily see a 10%, but my thought process is do we continue down to 15%, or is this going to be more of like a 2021 like rally where we see up 10%, down 5%, up 10%, down 5% until we get back to all-time highs? Or is it going to be more rational like we normally see, which is, hey, get a 10% pullback every 6 months or so, and that's normal? I don't know.
I mean, I think a lot of it is, to me, it's interest rate driven, because like the macro conditions, I think there's definitely some shoes to drop for macro that many people might not be considering. I think a lot of people are saying the recession is over, it's not coming, all that stuff, and then lo and behold, one black swan event comes, the recession theory is back on, right? I just think right now we're still got probably another I would say at least another 5% to go. I maybe like another 30 days of this is not unheard of, and I think we could see SPY getting to like 4,100, 4,200. I don't think there's going to be much room to go further than that. But I think there's pockets of opportunity right now in certain sectors that people are overlooking to find really good opportunities, right? I think right now, for me, I'm heavily looking at, I told you the two sectors, which always was been interesting me, was commercial REITs and regional banks. I think both of them have taken a really big beating the last couple of days, thanks to a lot of the downgrades and a lot of the headlines that have been coming out. But fundamentally, their businesses are relatively strong, right? So I have a cash position on the side just waiting to buy things up. And I think I'm going to keep adding to my position once I feel like the market has finally hit a bottom, like a bottoming. I was able to successfully take some profits on TFC and some of the other regional banks a month ago. So like I do have some firepower ready to go just in case. The only thing for me that I'm a little bit concerned about is just any sort of other black swan events that may be coming down that I may not be able to predict. And so that could see further deteriorations in credit, in which case, we could go to like March lows, but the likelihood of getting back to the March / May lows for banking, I think, have already been set. I don't think we're gonna break those lows. So I'm looking for opportunities right now, and I think I'm starting to see quite a few. I don't know about you. Like, how are you positioning for the rest of the year?
Well, I want to dig deeper into that, and then I can kind of chime back to me. But so for those of you guys that don't subscribe to Kris's Patreon, it's a very rare occasion that anybody gets to see his true position sizing. But I think somebody leaked it on Twitter. If not, I think you leaked it on Twitter, Kris. But
I did.
My question is, going back to kind of what you're saying, a few months ago, we don't have to, if you know where I'm going with this, you can cut me off early and say we don't have to go down this hole. A few months ago, you tapped me on the shoulder and you said you should look at a triple leveraged regional bank ETF. But I never saw that in the portfolio shares that were up on the market. Is it a different account, or did you not?
No, that was a very short term. That was a very short term trade. That was a very, like, whenever you think about short, like triple leverage ETFs, they're meant for very short term, just trades. Like, you can't invest in triple leverage stuff because it's not something that's plausible where you're actually going to be able to make money, because the volatility can go against you very quickly, right? Where you're steadily climbing up, and then you got a bad few days, and it could really tank fast and take the entire thing down. So no, but what it was is, when I spoke to you about it, there was an opportunity because a lot of people had written it off. This is why I spoke to you about it in like Mayish. So if you saw, there was a really good run, so it almost doubled you know. But the thing is, it was just pure trade for DPST. Yeah, someone
No,
put
no.
DPST. So there's a triple
Okay.
leverage ETF that specifically did regional banks, where the regional banks have been oversold. And so I did buy some DPST just as a short-term trade, which I did well in, and I got out. I didn't maximize like the entire thing, but it was something that then at the time to me was interesting. Yeah, I did a short term, made a quick 40%, got out fast. Yep, and that's how you're supposed to play these triple leverage ETFs. You know, it's hard to stomach the volatility around a triple leverage ETF, and nor should people do it. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think I've told you this before. I have an experiment going in my uh my portfolio. I have, what is it? It's about 5% of my portfolio in TQQQ. Have I ever told you this?
no,
Yeah.
you've been letting it ride.
Letting it ride. So I let it ride. I started investing in it in like early 2021. So I wrote it through 2021, and then I wrote it down through 2022, which was very painful. And I kept averaging a little bit, not as much as I should have, but it's actually to the point where it got to almost back to break even and a lot of my portfolio um, in 2023. So the hope
Yeah.
is if we continue to be on this sort of positive manner of TQQQ in say the next coming months or years, that I'll be break even from investing mostly in like the mid 2020 2021 timeframe when it was only up and to the right. And
Yeah.
my hope is over the long term, man, that it will do great performance as it has since the 2010 timeframe when it came out. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, do a quick comparison. It on a short term basis, it looks rough, but if you let the
I mean,
volatility play
it,
out,
it's it's really funny, but like with TQQQ, you see this. So what I did was I did a comparison between TQQQ and just the regular Qs, right?
yeah,
Like QQQ. So it's if you look at it, if you started off in let's say 2018, your difference is pretty meager. It's about 40%, but the risk is
mhm,
so much more. And it's
right.
actually starting to line back up to what it is. So believe it or not, there's actually a better
Go
way
to
to
max
do
though.
the
Get a
leverage.
max. I'm
Huh?
just curious.
Oh
Go to
yeah,
max
yeah.
though. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
where I, of course, this is, you can't guarantee future returns off the
Yeah.
past, right? But my thought process is I'm willing to risk 5% of my net worth for a 9,000% return over the course of 10, 12, 13 years, right? So if you
Yeah.
have even a fraction of that performance, um, because when things go up, it goes up 3x, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, I'm curious what Hot Chris has.
I would say look at QLD
Is that
only
2x?
because yeah, 2x seems to be on the right like amount where you get a more maximized return. So if you look at like since like the last 5 years, QLD is outperformed
Yeah.
TQQQ and regular Qs. So you can see here QLD, which is double leveraged.
When did that bad
Somehow,
boy come out? Do you know?
I don't know. I have to look,
I'm
but
curious.
essentially there was someone I forgot. I have the data there somewhere, but someone did like a report and they explained why like a 2x, even a 1.5x is probably the best leverage to go with. Let me see if I know which one.
So while
QLD.
Hot Chris is
Yeah.
pulling that up, the reason why a lot of people probably are like TQQQ, triple leverage, no bueno, because if you were to backtrack it to what happened during the internet bubble of 2000, you'd still be way down, right? So we're looking at points at this
Yeah.
point from 2010 to now, from TQQQ and QQQ comparison, where it's not that big of a difference. And obviously, if you go for until 2010 to now, it's a big difference. But if you were to say do the same starting at like 1999 to now, it'd be a much bigger difference. TQQQ wouldn't even be on the
Yeah.
same level.
Yeah, if you look at like if you somehow timed this market, you could have got in 2010 for like 45 cents on a after a split adjusted basis,
Yeah,
and you would have been up to what like
$90.
$88. I think
Yeah,
it's about 20,000 times return. But this is like one of the tragedies that people don't ever really get in at the bottom. They always seem to get in at the top and then ride it down, and then it's like years before they get back to get back to the highs again, you know? So it's like, if let's say you got in like December of 2021, it's going to be a while before you get your money back, you know? So I don't know about like, it's interesting that, it's interesting strategy with the Qs. I thought about it, to be honest with you, a few times, but then I'm just like, nah, I don't need that kind of volatility.
But
in my life.
go back to the max, right? Sorry, it's
Oh,
okay.
sure.
But you had the QLD on there, and I think that went back all the way to the 2000s. So like, if you eliminate TQQQ on that graphic,
yeah.
I don't know. Sorry if you close out the whole thing, but yeah, if you
let
eliminate,
me share it again.
Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, if you
okay.
eliminate the whole TQQQ part and just look at QLD versus Qs, and then do the max, then I feel like you'll be able to see that you probably didn't even keep up on the QLD part.
Okay, let's see. So 5 years. The Q, which one is this one? This is, I don't know which one. Okay, so this one, blue, is actually is triple, right?
Yeah.
Yellow, actually, wait, no. Yeah, yellow is QLD. Is it? Hold on. Man,
I think
they're all doing this.
yellow is TQQQ, because Sendo TQQQ is currently.
Okay, there you go. Right here, the current volatility, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so 6 months, 5 years, 10 years. Let's do 10-year comparison. So
that's the volatility.
Yeah, and then the drawdown comparison. Let's see. Sharp ratio. Total performance. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. Year to date, 1 year, 5 years. So 5 years, the outperformance has been the QLD. 10-year performance, it's been TQQQ. Yeah.
What it doesn't have a max, it's locked. Shit. I'll have to go back and see, because I'm curious if QLD started before 2000, and if it did, I want to compare the NASDAQ 100 and QLD. Just to see if it's even gotten back to zero yet, because I know TQQQ, if you backtracked it would not. But to go back into what you asked me specifically about, what am I going into? So we're back into a bullish period, at least for, from our portfolio's sake. I think about things on a longer term. So we're within 5% or spitting distance of all-time highs. Is kind of the way I'm looking at it. So to me, we're kind of back in this bullish period. I think we might see a little bit of a pullback, but I don't think we're going to go to the mid 3000s on the SPY or anything anytime soon. So to me, I'm still looking at, what does Matt really want, right? I'm at this point where let's just lay it out on the table, Kris, because you and I can talk this candidly. The 7-figure club, right? So it's like a couple, like you have 3-4 percentage points of your portfolio in some of these positions. It's like, okay, do I really need, a couple hundred shares of J&J and Pepsi? It's like, the dividend is nice, but it's like, do I really foresee all those companies doubling and tripling over the next 10 years? It doesn't seem very likely to me. And it's like, will my money be spent elsewhere? But at the same time, it's like, you have that dividend security. But my thought process then goes back to, I don't need the dividends right now. I'm still working. So it's like, I play this balance between consolidating some of these plays, like some of these REITs that I've had for 5-6 years, some of these other positions like J&J and Pepsi, and consolidating them and putting a portion of them into the SPY, or the majority of it into the SPY. Just let that do its thing, and let the top 500 companies be the top 500 companies and drive the portfolio, and then use a portion of that money to dive deeper into some conviction plays, which, if everything plays out to what I expect in a long-term scenario, I'd anticipate I'd get way more percentage growth, right? Because I wouldn't be chasing all that money that I consolidate with anyway. So it's a hard situation, right? I'm still young, 32. And so it's like, I don't know. And then it's also like, well, you also have a pretty decent nest egg. Should you maybe stop being so risky and just be happy with what you got?
I'd say right now is not a time where you need to be risky. Right now is a time where you just need to be a little bit conservative. the riskiest thing you should do is marry somebody. That's
Yeah.
going to be your riskiest move. For me, it worked out well. As far as I know, I'm 5 years in, and that's paid off pretty nicely. But yeah, I think right now, I'd focus a lot less on trying to generate dividend income. Capital appreciation should be your main focus, just traditionally investing speaking. So like, I think being invested in Pepsi and all that stuff, it could be good. I think there's margin to be had and slow profits there, but you're a young guy. You can actually weather the volatility. You can actually
Exactly.
weather some of the capital drawdowns, especially if you have a job, it's pretty secure. It's a great job, that you like, you don't foresee any issues happening. You could definitely diversify into some other more like riskier sectors, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I always battle with myself. It's a kind of been of a reinvention of the portfolio, right? I never expected to kind of get to this size of portfolio. I always wanted to get to that point. That was kind of the goal, obviously, to kind of get to the 7-figure mark in the 30s. But to actually
Once you're
have
there,
it, and
once you're
it's
there,
kinda,
it's just another number on
exactly.
a
No,
screen, right?
I was really an interesting. It was just like, well, what's the next goal, right? That's really what it was. It was you woke up the next day and you're like, okay, what's the next place that I'm setting my sights for, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start to realize that who is it? Patrick Bet-David says this a lot. It's like it's basically a rule of doubling, or the game of doubles. It's like how many doubles are you away from stuff? So it's like, let's say for example you're at 1 million. It's like, well, how many doubles are you away from 10 million at that point? 1 million to 2, 2 million to 4, 4 million to 8, and then 8 million to 16. So it's like you're really only 4 or 5 doubles away from your next goal, very simply. And so if you think about it in that perspective, it's like always just be focusing on, what is your next double? Because then it kind of just halves the amount of work that you kind of need to get to that next level. But that might be a different way to think
about it. Yeah. I mean, for me, just I've come to the point where all my short-term life goals are all pretty much been met. Like I have enough money socked up for a house to basically go on as many vacations as I really want to with the wife. Maybe not stay at the Four Seasons, but at least go on the vacation. You know what I mean? Like it's just relative. Money is one of those things that it's not just about accumulating, but like what your end goal is. Because I think so many times people get into the whole let me make more, and they forget to live. And then one day they end up getting some terminal disease. And it's like, what the hell? I have all this money, but I never got to enjoy it. And so I would say to you, man, if you're doing well, you've hit the 7-figure club, take some off the top and go enjoy, man. Life is too short to worry about this forever. And I'm starting to realize that so like right now, I'll tell you my day. Like last night I worked 12 to I was supposed to get off at 8 this morning, but we had like a lot of issues. So I was stressed out all day long, all night long, and then all morning. So, I was dealing with a lot of stuff at work. And then I went to sleep, got a few hours of sleep, and then I had a call that I had set up for Patreon. So I had to wake up in the middle of the day. I spoke to my patron, which was really good times. I had a great conversation. And then I went back to sleep. And then I woke up again to do Finance Junkies. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to relax a little bit. And so now I'm like, then it was like an hour relaxing. And then we had this. And then it was like then I'm starting work again at 12. So it's like, bro, what the fuck am I making all this money for if I can't even like enjoy my goddamn time? So it comes down to a point where you have to like pick and choose what you want to do going forward. And eventually I'm going to end up having to say, you know what do I really enjoy doing? Do I enjoy working 12 to 8, at my job right now? Do I like the stability? Do I make this podcasting thing a bigger part of my day-to-day existence? And can I live a comfortable life while only doing YouTube and Patreon stuff and not working? And it's sad because I'm like right in the middle of each one, where I am doing well enough at work to quit the other stuff, but I'd still have to keep working. and I'm at a point where I can do the Patreon stuff, and quit work. But the Patreon stuff and the YouTube stuff isn't exactly like stable. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
you're like, oh, which one do I prioritize? And so I'm learning as time goes on how to micromanage my own life a little bit, how to do better with timing. And this is just one of those things that comes along with it. But one of the things that I know that I'm going to be doing now more than ever is taking the wife and just going to places. Like I want
Oh,
to
yeah.
be doing what we're doing right now. I want to be doing it from like Mexico or a beach
Yeah.
somewhere, or somewhere in like Iceland, or somewhere like really far away. And that's like the beauty of my job right now. Like I could really do it from anywhere as long as there's like a strong, like a stable internet connection. And I can also do the podcast thing from anywhere as long as I have a stable internet connection. So
Yeah.
I'm no longer tied to one place. So then I'm thinking, like, do I really even need a house?
Mhm.
Like, am I gonna buy a big house for what? Like, so that me and the wife can clean it all day and hire
Yeah.
someone to do the landscaping? Like,
If you
so
were to have one, it would probably be something where it's like you have it in case you need to come back and visit family for a month or two, and then
yeah,
you short-term rented it or something like that. Even if it might be at a break even or something like that, it's like at the end you might be winning in terms of, even if that matters. Maybe it doesn't, right? Maybe you have enough money where you're like, who cares if we have to spend a month living in this hotel? You call them up
yeah,
and you say, we'll give you $5,000. They'll be like, okay. Like,
yeah,
who knows? But I think about that a lot, and I had a glimpse of that, in 2021 when the portfolio was literally exploding and the
mhm,
options income was so good. Where,
yeah,
and I think everyone could say this, right? They caught a little glimpse of it. It's like, if I just had that next level of, where I want to be, then it's to the point where it's like, well, why, if I were to do what I keep doing, it's either to keep my mind busy because I truly enjoy doing it, because I do like providing energy for the world. I mean, that's a lot of fun. Providing oil to people, it's
yeah,
kind of a thankless job because a lot of people look down on it, but we still use 100 million barrels a day. So to be able to provide that luxury to people to like not even think twice because there's so much oil in the world, that's kind of cool part to be of, because you're just silently keeping the world running, even though people look down and spit at you. But at the end of the day, it's like, this is where I see like the most immediate effects, being able to help people, educate, or at least try to give some rhyme or reason as to what might be going on from a retail investor perspective. And when 2021 was going on, the options income was so good. I was, some months I was making 10, 15,000, which I gave away a lot in 2022, but some months I was making $10,000-15,000 from options income. Then I was like, well, why am I not doing this in Thailand or like Indonesia? Or as like, especially when the world was kind of shut down, the office wasn't open. I had to
I'll
be
tell you
sitting in.
why. I tell you why, because it's the same equation that I run through my head all the time when I think about these things. It's that if you don't have people to spend the money with, what's the point? Like, look, I can go on, like, me and the wife can go on a vacation by ourselves. Like, it's fun. We love it. But then there's certain enjoyment that you get with spending time with your friends. Like, I would love to do like a weekend in Vegas with you guys. Like, just be like, you know what? Screw it. Let's go to Vegas for the weekend. Let's just have a fucking time. Just enjoy ourselves. But
Right.
if you don't have that ability to meet people and have like friends, like right now, I could honestly ask you right now, hey man, if you're free sometime in October, November, let's fucking go to Vegas for the weekend and just
Yeah.
go hang out in Vegas, go to the clubs for a little bit, like go to the poker, like go play some poker, go, just enjoy life a little bit, go skiing with the friends. So I think a lot of what is happening right now for me and personally in life is that I'm actually starting to meet people again post COVID, where I can go and hang out with people physically, and it's a very interesting dynamic, because what happened was pre-COVID, I was a lot more outgoing. Like before I met my wife, when I was in New York, bro, I was going out Friday night, hanging out with the boys,
Yeah, man.
and then COVID hit. I mean, I met my wife, of course, and now I travel back and forth in Atlanta, so I gave a lot of that stuff up, and then I focused really heavily on work. And I got to the point where then COVID hit, of course. So then I came to the point where now I have I have some friends, but they're mostly like my wife's husbands that I hang out with, but they don't have nearly the amount of interest that I do. And they also have young kids. So what happens is their entire like life and schedule revolves around their kids. I don't have any kids yet. So, like big ups, like I'm lucky in that respect. So right now it's like, hey, do you guys want to do this? Like, no, man, I can't find no babysitter. I can't do this.
Right.
Like, and
right.
it's even simple things that I want to try to do with the guys, but they have young kids, so you can't really do it. Like, I used to go to the driving range with them, be like, hey man, let's just fucking go to the driving range this weekend, and so it's things like that. But now that I've hit a point in my investing career and even my regular career where I'm looking for opportunities to basically de-stress, by going and enjoying stuff. Like, have you ever gone to Top Golf? Do you know what Top Golf is?
Yeah, Top Golf is great.
Dude, that's my like zone of Top Golf. Yes, let's fucking go. Is it this October or next October, Amit?
I feel like
let's go Vegas
this October. That would be good.
Huh?
That'd be a
Dude,
good time.
I am so down. Let's go. Let's just make
you guys. You'll see how bad at craps I am, but it'll be a good time.
Dude, it'll be fun. Hell with that. It'll be fun. We'll lose money together. Look, if we're not gonna buy Amit a prostitute in Vegas, all right? We're not gonna buy Amit a prostitute in Vegas.
No, we wouldn't do that.
But if a lady of the night comes back to Amit's apartment, that's not on us. We didn't buy her. We didn't put a deposit for her, but no, I mean, we're not going to buy you a hooker. I'm sorry. You're going to have to figure that one on your own.
I feel you, man. I mean, for example, like I have a really good example of this. It was like my one buddy was like, yeah, man, just come home. We have the beach house now. And it was like, I'm here in Tennessee with my sister and her family. So it's gracious enough for her to share that. So I'm getting away a little bit from the normal 9 to 5, but I was like, all right, well, my buddy was like, hey, somebody canceled on us next week, or like this is a couple months ago. Somebody canceled in August. Let's fill it up. Let's just me and you. Let's just hang out. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do it. So I blocked it off like a couple months ago on the calendar, like that I'm staying. I'm going up like after Tennessee, drive back to Texas, fly back to Pennsylvania, drive over to New Jersey, spending, for the first time, we have this rental house since last December. For the first time, actually stay in it. And, it came like 2 weeks ago. I was chatting with him. I was like, hey, man, I was like, all right, so like, I'm going to fly back, Sunday night. Like, you're going to drive me down to the beach. And he's like, well, we have the kids. So, and, we kind of have to trade off back and forth with babysitting. And I was like, all right, so like, realistically, how much time are you planning on spending down at the beach house with me? He's just like, I don't know, like Tuesday night and maybe to like Thursday morning. I'm like, okay, cool. So a day and a half for like, and you were trying to say like it's going to be the whole week, like that we were going to be spending down there. I'm like, I'm not coming, man. Like, I'm not going to make all that back and forth. And so just things change when you get a little older, man. Priorities change and lives and what revolves and what's important changes. And so like, it's just interesting. But to me, I'm with you, man. Like after the pandemic, I went to the Dominican, I went to Jamaica. Even when I was living in Trinidad, I was just like, you know what? Like, I need to get out of my box. Like, I need to see new things. I need to see new cultures. I need to experience some stuff. I need to get wild. I need to take out of my comfort zone. Because, like, so
the chat is on fire, man. It's asking like someone's like, I'll pay for your girl if we can all watch. So this just went from YouTube to OnlyFans with Amit possibly having to bang a chick live.
Only Amit.
Only Amit.
Yeah, Jesus, man.
No, I would say, look, the key to having a great time with the boys in Vegas, okay? Number one, everyone has to get there with cheap ass flights. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why you go there with a cheap flight is because you probably are going to get delayed on the way home and you guys can all share in the fucking misery together. So I'm not talking about you fly the Deltas of the world or the United of the world. You got to fly like Frontier or you got to fly Southwest. Like if you're not flying the cheap airline to Vegas, you're doing something wrong. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, you meet up with the boys and you do the dumb shit that they advise you not to do in Vegas. Like go to a liquor store, grab a bunch of drinks, get fucked up, then go out. Then don't just go to like the top casinos like the Bellagio and shit. Go to like the poor man's casino.
Oh,
I'll tell you
get off the strip.
get off the ship. Go to the poor
Yeah.
people casino. Poor people casino is where the action is at. You know, where there's nothing but old ladies smoking on the fucking like the what do they call it? The slot machines, right?
Yeah.
Then you have the guys that are like risking their life savings on their next hand on roulette. So like these are the kinds of things that like makes it worth it. And you go visit a strip club if you really want to, you know, you'd stay out late. Then it's usually a nice day, like a pool day, where you go with the boys to like the pool and you just hang out and watch girls that'll never talk to you in like a million years. But, you know, while you're in Vegas, they think you're a high roller. So they'll like chat you up so you feel good about yourself.
Yeah,
These
buy
are
a
the kinds
cabana.
of things
Next thing you know, they're chatting you up, and you got a
exactly.
Mitt who has the gift of gab. You know, he can.
You lie, you embellish about what you actually do in life. Like we all know you're an oil baron. Me, I'm a rich orthopedic surgeon. You know, I can make up a story. That's what I'd be. Right. My name is Dr. Patel. I'm the chief of cardiology at NYU. Like, what are they gonna do? Fucking look it up? Nah, they're gonna believe you. Shit.
Well, that's the best thing. You could say we own we have a lot of different econo lodges throughout the United States, and they'd look up Patel Econo Lodge, you'd be set. You're good.
Yeah, exactly. You know, to make up a fucking like you could Amit could say he is a prince. We just gotta get him one of those Arabian dresses. Just put that shit on him, like, and make him look like an Arab sheik and be like, Prince Ali Wawad. Hello, Prince Ali. You know, and watch all the girls come. You know, it's like, oh, I hear he's an Arabian prince. You know,
get the whispers starting. Jesus.
Yeah, it's like IPO founder of Audia. You know what? Man. You know what? Me being an investor in Audia, I vote for a motion that we do an annual meeting in Vegas.
Oh, I was thinking an annual audit. Make sure Amit's not throwing it all on roulette. You never know.
Nah, bro, I'd be okay with that. Put Audia's future up on the fucking roulette table. I'm okay with it. I support that message.
Oh man,
You're like, let's go.
Jesus.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It should be a good time, man. I think we should definitely potentially organize that. I'd be down.
Yeah,
for
man.
that.
I'm telling you, dude. There's so many things to do. We can go to a Top Golf. We can go shooting. Like Vegas has this place where you just go ham with like all sorts of what is that thing, like guns if you want to use that. There's a place where you can actually go and rent supercars and do a couple of laps in like supercars and stuff. Dude, that shit would be awesome. It's just get away and enjoy all the luxuries that we deserve, you know. It's like we should seriously consider it. Do it. Fuck it.
Have you done full auto? Well, yeah, you were in the Army. Of course you done full auto.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun shooting full auto shit.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, it's one of those things. Like Vegas is a great, like if you just need to just get away from the real world, Vegas is the place to do it. You know, and by the way, if you come to Vegas, prepare to lose all your money. We're not going home with the same amount of money we came with. We are strictly going there to fucking blow our money on dumb shit. And if we come back with more than we left, that was a success. That's what I'm saying.
This is it. Mitt can write it off as doing due diligence on Sphere.
Oh, and we can do due diligence on the Sphere. Believe it or not, that's one of those things I want to see. You know, you got to see that thing, by the way. It's fucking creepy, but it's cool at the same time. You know.
And wait, you've been since it was made, or I thought it only opened up.
No, I just see it on like like YouTube and stuff. Yeah, I haven't seen it in person, but it looks freaking crazy, dude. Like,
it's worth checking out. Is it south of the Bellagio?
I think it's near Resorts World.
I don't even know.
Let me see. Sphere.
Birthday's Friday? Why did I think your birthday was in like? I don't know why.
Yeah, let me see on the map side. Where is it? It's let's see. It's by the Flamingo. Yeah, it's by like Venetian. So it's like near Resorts World, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a good part of the strip. That's expensive real estate.
Jesus. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Well, Amit already said he's last weekend of October, so everybody.
All right. Well, we can see if Jeremy Financial Education can come. We'll get him drunk and just let him just like go out there with his like, you know, get him so fucking drunk and then ask him like, bro, seriously, how do you feel about the CEO from Tattooed Chef? And just let him go fucking him. Fuck that guy. That fucking piece of shit. I went down the ship because that motherfucker. You know, I just want to see Jeremy drunk. I want to see the authentic Jeremy come out, man. You know, because the Jeremy
he's
we see
polished.
is like very polished.
Yeah, he's very polished. He does a good job.
Yeah, but getting him wasted. I mean, and he's in Vegas, so it's not like a really big thing for him. Let him come with his car, come back home in an Uber, you know, with his fucking car left on the strip store. Jeremy, if you watch this show or if you know anyone, bro, October, we're gonna do it. We're gonna come. We're gonna celebrate Amit's birthday. We're all gonna get fucked up, and we're gonna come home pissed drunk. All right. And if anything, we might have to crash at your place.
Amit's been to his house, so. Yeah. Amit's gonna take us off the strip one day and just like have us knock on his door. I'm like, we shouldn't be doing this. He doesn't even know we're coming over. And next thing you know, we're knocking on his door. And it's like, what do you, Amit?
We need a place to stay, Jeremy. We're using our financial YouTube, our club.
Cloud.
You know, we're gonna have to stay with you for the weekend. Sorry,
Jeremy. Would you move to Vegas? Would you pull a Graham Stephan and all that?
I can't do it. No, I love Georgia too much, man. I'm a Georgia boy. No.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you liked Georgia that much. I thought you were always kind of like a New York tried and true kind of guy. I know you were going back and forth, but
yeah, no. New York is a place where I grew up. So I've done all the stuff that I needed to. Now I like the stability of Georgia. Like the weather's good. Like I like my family and friends. They're all around us. You know, Kris is going to get hammered and just shit on Peter Lynch repeatedly. Yep, exactly. That's
what's the problem with Peter Lynch?
Nothing. I just think that I'm better than Peter Lynch. You know,
I mean, yeah, you're a better short-term investor, I'd say, for sure.
Yeah, you know, we'll see. Someone's like, you'll need chaperones. Yeah, I think that might be my wife. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, you gotta leave your women at home. Leave your women at home. Don't bring. What is it? It's it's all dudes only, okay? We can't have girls come and then we can't be our true selves. Like I'm leaving the wife at home, you know.
Yeah, that is one thing that I kind of thought about more and more is like when you think about it, it's like when you go to some of these places like Indonesia and Thailand, it's like it's not that expensive to rent out a place for a week or two for a large group of people. And so my thought process is like, well, once or twice a year, I'd probably rent out something in Indonesia or wherever. And it's like, if it's a group of people that I trust and, know of a little bit, come through. Like, I don't really care, right? It doesn't cost me any extra. Like I could just move next door for a week or two, have some people row through if they want to plan something in like October. And so back in 2021, I was thinking about a lot of that. And eventually I want to get to that point, right? Where I can have that flexibility. If
June, you can definitely come to Vegas with us. You just gotta be with one of the boys though. So just letting you know, we are gonna do boys shit. Okay, so as long as you're willing to participate in boys shit, you can come. All right. Don't chicken out though. Don't chicken out. But only if you can call. What did he say? Whatever, man. I wasn't even this hyped before I started. Like I was like literally cuddled up in my wife's arms, like literally 15 minutes before we started. I was like, honey, I'm tired. Now I'm all fucking energized. Now I'm like, yeah, Vegas. Let's do it. Gambling addictions and alcohol.
Oh man, God. I saw a 40-year-old mom. She hugged me. What?
Kris, I saw a fan for Vegas who was 40-year-old mom, and she hugged me and told me how much she enjoyed the content. It's a surreal feeling. You know what else is a surreal feeling? A 25-year-old with nothing to lose, but everything to gain.
I don't even know if she liked the show. She probably just said that so she could give Amit a hug, I don't know.
Yeah. I find Amit slowly becoming a celebrity, man.
He is a celebrity, man. He's a high flyer.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Always a pleasure, brother. Take care.
Man. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
But I'm serious about this Vegas thing. We'll talk offline about it. All right. Let's do it. All right.
All right, my guy. Later.
All right. Later.